wake up, I reach up to pull the curtain out a little bit just so I can check the color of the sky. It's gray, just like yesterday, just like the day before. And it's 3 in the afternoon. I know that without looking at the clock because I've been waking up at 3 in the afternoon for a week or 2, or 3. Anyway, it's April 2020. I've been off of work for a little while. I'm an out-of-work barista. And as I let the curtain fall back into place, this purple curtain, it just sort of colors my room in this dark, bruise-colored gloom. Everything feels like shadows and blurred. And it's not a great place to be, but I am terrified of going beyond these 4 walls. So I'm just sort of stuck in my phone. Doom scrolling has been added to our vocabulary. So I'm basically just doing my phone and video games. Phone and video games, just letting the time float by. Of course, I'm also, apart from just looking at the news on my phone, I'm also on apps, Scruff specifically. Before the pandemic, it was a bit different. You'd open the app, you'd scroll through the restaurants, profiles. You'd tap on one, you'd see what's on the menu, and if you were lucky, in 30 minutes, there would be a man at your door, possibly with food. But now, it's terrifying, right? Because, men are known to lie for sex. So my risk tolerance right now is 0. But I don't know, is he being safe? Is he being honest about who he's being with? What are the rules? I can't negotiate these boundaries. I can't. So I set the biggest boundary that I can think of, which is, I'm not meeting right now. I put that on my profile. Not meeting, not interested, just, talking, right? Because I'm still getting thirsty. I'm still talking. I'm still having these, kind of spicy conversations. But this one guy, I see his profile picture, really, really cute smile. He's got all these tulips behind him in his profile picture, all red and yellow. And I'm like, that makes me think of May in Montreal. And if May happened before, then it can happen again, right? Time will move forward at some point, right? So we get to talking, and he's adorable, he's charming. We talk about books, we talk about Bjork, and we talk about the video games we've been playing. He's much more of a Sonic fan, I'm more into Final Fantasy. But among all the video games, we find one that we have in common, and it is Animal Crossing. So if you don't know Animal Crossing, it's a series. It's a long series, but the most recent version is dropped on the Nintendo Switch at a perfect time because we're all in lockdown and we don't want to go outside. So we go to this little virtual world where you go to this island and you're given a tent and a cot and a lamp by this guy named Tom Nook. Now, he's not human. You're the only human on this island. Tom Nook is a tanuki. It's a sort of Japanese raccoon. If you want a real primer, Palm Poco is on Netflix. It's fucking weird, but it's amazing. So Tom Nook, he gives you this tent and he gives you a mortgage. I'm a millennial. I want a mortgage without having to qualify. I want an interest-free mortgage when I can make payments just, whenever I have the money. And on this island, you can get money by shaking the trees and collecting the fruit that falls out of them and selling it to Tom Nook's little nephews. It's really cool. I wish the world worked like that. But again, so you're the only human on the island, right? So I've got this villager, her name is Renee. Yes, she's a horse. And the museum is run by this owl named Blathers, and he'll identify anything that you bring to him, a fish, a fossil, an insect, and he does go on. So I love giving him insects because he kind of freaks out and he sort of sits there and sweats and squirms while he reluctantly tells you interesting facts about them. So anyway, I'm talking with this guy. His name's Orlando. He's an apprentice stage manager, also working in a bookstore, but not working in a bookstore because we're all stuck at home, which is how he's realized that he hates his neighbors. They're assholes. They're loud. So we commiserate over that. I'm living with an ex. Not an asshole, but still not an ideal living situation. So we're talking about Animal Crossing, we're talking about our home lives, and he eventually invites me over to his island. And I go, and he takes me on this tour. First of all, you arrive via the airport. The airport's run by dodos. And he's got this sort of waiting section. This is not pre-built. He's got a vending machine and some chairs, a little welcome station. I'm like, he put that there. That's cute. That's intentional. I like that. He's got these little paths and yards, and his island looks very neat and upkept. Kind of the flowers are running a little wild, but it's nice. It's got this sort of organic overflowing feeling. So he gives me the tour, we run around, and then of course he has to come back to my island, where the only thing running wild is weeds. And on the top of the hill, I have these sort of like rocks in some sort of arrangement. It's too many to be accidental, but it's too few to really sort of look purposeful. And I'm like, hey, this is my stone thing. But we have a great time. We continue talking even after we leave each other's islands. And this island visiting becomes a regular thing, and the chatting becomes a regular thing, and we're really sort of bonding and having these intimate conversations. Not your usual scruff conversations, because although, I've had those thirsty conversations, there's that moment sometimes where you start developing a crush on someone and you're like, wait a minute, no, this could be something bigger than that. I might actually get to see all of him, for the first time when I undress him. That could be kind of cool. So then in this apartment search, one day he tells me that he's looking at a place in my neighborhood and, we could go for a walk after. And I'm like, okay, yeah, because I got a crush on this guy, I want to see him. And then I'm like, wait a minute, outside? Okay, but so last time I went outside, it was to go to the dep to get some snacks, and I came home, I stripped into the washing machine, and then I took a shower before disinfecting, my chips and cookies and my Kraft dinner. So I'm realizing I have to go outside. Fine, but he's cute, it's fine. I put on my little handmade mask, it's got Pokemon on it, I go stand outside of my building, and he walks up, and I give him I look him up and down a little bit. I'm like, I can see myself undressing him. And he's really great at smiling with his eyes. He's got a handmade mask too, but all these beautiful blues and greens and reds, very vibrant, very alive. So we go for a walk through Villemard. And I point out that, there's the restaurant with the cheap pizza and the weird retro kitchen diorama. That's kind of cool. And down the road is the cafe that I like to go at. You have to try their pecan tarts. And then we go down to the Lachine Canal, where the sunlight is sparkling on the water, and we go for a bit of a walk. I have not been for a walk in a while, so my hip bones, I'm like, okay, maybe we should have a seat and maybe have a little moment. So we do. We sit by the water. It's really cute. I'm looking at him, and I'm like, kind of want to kiss him, but there's a plague happening, and this is the first time we're meeting. Normally I have no problem kissing a guy the first time I meet him, but this is different, right? We still have the masks on and 6 feet between us. So we don't kiss. I'm not quite ready for that, but he walks me home and we continue our chats. But less than a week later, he invites me to his place for piri piri chicken. So I go, and it's a beautiful day, and the Bixies are back. It's May, it's a little warm, and I think, great, Bixie's great. I don't have to be in a bus with people who may or not be wearing a mask appropriately or at all, So I bike along the Lachine Canal. It's a gorgeous day. I get to Lionel Groux Metro. I go in the Metro, and it's great, because there's no one. There's no one in the Metro. I have never seen it this empty. Fantastic. Then I get out at Rosemont, and I get on the Bixie again. It's a little warm. I kind of go through this kind of dusty construction area, and I'm like, maybe I should have had some water, but it's fine. I'll ask for water when I get there. Dock the Bixie in the rack, and then I walk to his building. He's given me the apartment number, and the front door is open. So I just go in, and I'm like, oh, shit, it's upstairs. Because by this point, I'm starting to feel a little hot, and every step, my head is pounding a little bit more, so that by the time I get to his door, I don't even know what I look like. I'm just like, hi. Here I am, can I have some water? He gives me a tour of his place, and it's very quick. It's a studio apartment, but it looks much nicer than when I had a studio apartment. So I have some water, and then I have to sort of confess a strange request. I'm like, would you mind if I lay down on your floor for a minute? Because the bed's right there, but that seems presumptuous, and I really can't. I have to be horizontal for a minute. My head is just pounding. It's terrible. I can't tell if he's looking at me funny or not, because we're not really that familiar with each other in a physical space just yet. But it's fine. I get up. I sort of feel a little bit revitalized by the water. We have some food. I take a bite of my rice, and it doesn't taste like much. It's just kind of like texture in my mouth. But I know that I haven't eaten much today, and I've been on a bike a couple times, so I just sort of dutifully chew a few mouthfuls. And I'm looking at him, feeling really, really awkward and not really knowing what to do. So I fall back on what I know, which is like, hey, how about we make out? And so we go to the bed, we have our time, and then in the shower later, again, I have to ask to sit down because I'm feeling lightheaded and I just can't remain vertical. So by the time I leave his place, I'm like, oh my God, he must think I'm so weird. It's so, I don't know what's happening. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I get home, I go to the bathroom, and I throw up. Then it's starting to hit me. I'm starting to do a sort of like mental checklist going back, and then I put my symptoms into the phone and I ask the Google box, okay, vomiting, nausea, loss of appetite, hot skin, headache. And Google tells me, congratulations, you have heat stroke. Well, at least it's not COVID, right? And I feel gratified. I feel foolish, but I feel gratified. Foolish because, well, this is an easily avoidable state. And gratified because it's like, well, I'm not insane. There was actually something wrong with me. And I text him right away. He expresses concern. But I'm just excited that I know, no, it's fine. It's heat stroke, whatever, electrolytes. But, from that moment, it's like, okay, so great. No matter how thirsty you get, Lukas, you still have to hydrate. Thank you.